receiver who's now playing running back. He has been smoking people in training camp. They got speed out of the backfield. Xavier Worthy's developing. The offensive line's even better. They have nothing but dudes on defense. Kansas City got better. They got better. Just telling you.
And they needed to. Despite the fact that they went 15-2 last year, their offense really struggled. They may take it next level. Meanwhile, next order of business, Neek, is my favorite story of this entire training camp. I am more fascinated by Travis Hunter's attempt, and he's calling himself the unicorn, and well, he should. His attempt to become the first player in essentially 60 years to be a major contributor on both sides of the ball. He took reps at wide receiver yesterday. Neek, are you a believer that he can do what has not been done in the NFL since the 1960s?
I absolutely am a believer. Like, I choose to take the evidence that we have from what he was able to do in college and understand that sometimes there are athletes that are just unique. I know it's a long shot, and I do understand that it's going to take a toll on his body. But if that's something that he chooses to do, I mean, I see no reason to believe that he can't. It seems that he's shown that he has the stamina to do that. I think it's going to be hard. Being great at both, now we're getting to a point where it's a little bit more difficult for me to believe, but I still think that the impact that he could have on both sides of the ball, and we're not looking, I don't assume we're looking for him to play 100% of the snaps on both sides of the ball. So like 80% here, 80% there, I think it's possible.
Okay, I'm going to leave it here. We're going to set aside some time a little later this morning to go deeply in. I know I can see Lewis and Kimberly both ready to jump out of their seats. We're going to dive deeply into the situation with Travis a little later this morning. But our next stop, I want to get us to Cleveland, where Shedeur Sanders continues to put in work primarily with backups, almost exclusively with backups at this point, with Joe Flacco taking all of the first-team reps so far with Cleveland. I want you to hear from Deion Sanders, obviously Shedeur's dad. He sat down with his old teammate Michael Irvin and discussed his plans to visit Shedeur at camp and why he has not.
He didn't want me to come. He's like, Dad, I'm going to get 3-4 reps at practice. I don't want you seeing that. I'm like, come on, no, I'm not where I need to be. Let me get where I need to be. And it's so funny because this is his first time, man, ever. And he's dealing with it like a pro, like he ain't mad, he ain't bitter. He's like, I got work to do, and I'm going to put in this work. One thing, they're going to have to let me play. Preseason going to come. And when preseason come, watch me work. I'm like, I already know what you're going to do. I ain't worried about that. I know. But he didn't want me to come.
That's interesting. Remember that Deion went to visit Shiloh at the camp last week, and we wondered when he would go to Cleveland, and there's the explanation for why he hasn't been there so far. What struck you about this?
Look, you can just tell that Shedeur is really, Deion says he's dealing with it like a pro, and I believe it, but I'm telling you, that is hard. It is a grind to stand there and watch other people get reps and move from period to period to period, and you're not able to take part. Look, in my experience, at the beginning of training camp, everyone kind of gets worked in to the reps, into the rotations. And then as you get closer to preseason games, get closer to the regular season, they start to pare it down. You start to understand who the coaching staff, who the front office, who ownership are really counting on carrying the load for the rest of the regular season. If he's not getting reps now, as they start getting prepared for games, what are they going to do then? If he's not getting reps now, how is he going to earn more reps later is my point. Are you just going to throw him in the preseason games without him having reps with even the third, fourth team, second team at all? See, those are the things that just concern me this early in training camp. But look, I trust what I know and what Deion has told me and what I have experienced myself about the character of this young man as far from a football perspective. But I can tell you this, standing there and watching other people compete when you believe you're as good as them, look, Dom can tell you, that's the worst thing in the world. It just guts you. It wears on you mentally. And why am I not getting in there? Because if you don't get in there, you have no shot.
I'll get to Nick in a minute, but Kmart, I want to come to you first as my reporter, and you know that division and that team so well. Do you have any sense of what the plan is there? Kenny Pickett's been hurt. Flacco getting the first team reps. They've got the 2 rookies. Do you have a sense of their plan?
So before the Pickett hamstring injury, I checked in, and the sense I was given was, the reps were kind of distributed the way we expected. The vets get the majority of the reps, meaning the 2 rookies, not just 1 rookie, 2 rookies, and Dylan Gabriel also with Shedeur kind of having to get in where they fit in. The Pickett of it all is interesting because unfortunately for Kenny Pickett, the less time he's on the field, the less work he gets, and he's somebody who needs work as well. I think the next 2 weeks, the Browns are in Carolina next week. and then they're in Philly right after. I think the next 2 weeks, depending on where Pickett is, I don't want to say it'll go a long way in determining anything, but that's an opportunity for these young guys to kind of show a little bit more. But Lewis, to your point, they're not getting a bulk of anything. And that's the troubling thing, because they won't be able to be prepared.
Again, the early part of training camp, the first couple of practices, they really want to acclimate everyone. So in my experience, everyone gets at least a little bit of a cut of what's going on, so you kind of know what you're supposed to do. Then it starts to taper. If at this point he's saying, look, Dad, I don't want you to come because I'm getting 3-4 reps per practice, I mean, that to me, look, if I really wanted to see what someone had as far as, you know, whether or not they could be a franchise caliber quarterback, early on in training camp, I'd want him in there. I'd want to be giving him more reps than this, at least to the point where he'd say, hey, yeah, you know what, come watch me. I am getting some reps. I can show you a little bit more of what I'm doing.
So, Nick, should we be reading anything into the fact, I understand it's still early, but to Lewis's point, it felt to me like early would be the time that you would see everybody a little bit. Should we be reading into the fact that Shedeur is getting this little work?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where Shedeur is such a unique draft prospect, because he was so good in college and he's so famous, but he's still a 5th-round pick. Like, this happens to 5th-round picks sometimes, especially if they're not counting on you to be an impact player this season. I think oftentimes some of these guys are long shots and they want to see what they have. They're planning to put them on practice squad or something like that. None of us expected that for Shedeur, but you do have to calculate in the fact that he's a 5th-round pick. I'm shocked that he's not getting the reps at this point, though. Like, I was drafted with 2 corners drafted ahead of me in my same draft. Your opportunity will come. It's like a risk and reward situation for him. He's not getting much better right now because he's not getting the reps, but there's a situation where he is going to get plays. He has to be perfect. He has to be perfect in the 5 plays that he gets. He has to be perfect. And that's a bit of a pro and a con, in that you only got to study those 4 or 5 plays you're going to get, and you better not mess them up, because you're never going to get them again.
All right, we'll get back to this. Yeah. We heard from the owner of the Browns yesterday as well, and some of the things he said really raised my
position group and let down your quarterback. So as long as they catch the ball, look, I think Jordan Love will be a top 5 thrower of football this year. If you want to measure it by QBR, I think he's that good.
And you got some quarterbacks, you got some teams in that NFC North. Flip side, let's go to the AFC North for a moment here. Bengals All-Pro defensive end Trey Hendrickson expected to end his week-long holdout. He's reporting to camp today. Adam Schefter reporting both sides in near agreement on the length and total value of a new extension. The holdup is over guaranteed money. Lewis, your reaction on everything here?
Yeah, look, I think first and foremost, look, Trey knows, look, that money starts to add up, okay, when you're holding out. And when you're sitting here and these $50,000 a day, I believe it is, continue to accumulate, that's money you just can't get back. It's money that they can't waive. So I think he says, hey, look, despite the fact that I'm still here dug in and I believe what I believe in terms of my worth, let me go ahead and report to training camp and then see if we can move along here in terms of getting something done. The thing that worries me about this is, look, every day that is missed when you're talking about any football player, but players in particular like him who are thoroughbreds, who are high-end individuals, who really rely on their lower body and that explosiveness, you worry about them suffering soft tissue injuries once they come back, especially if they have an extended holdout. Look, I understand, there's been some players who have held out of training camp and gone on to have tremendous seasons, MVP caliber seasons. Aaron Donald comes to mind when I think about guys, in that vein. But look, Trey Hendrickson, you just don't want him to get hurt once he comes back, because ultimately Cincinnati needs him in order to get to where they want to get to.
Yeah, 17.5 sack